I'm 25 and I just watched Star Wars for the first time. Here are my thoughts. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am here once again, starting off the brand new year with this video. First of all, before I get started with this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to one of my brothers, one of my best friends since childhood. His name is Andrew. Thank you so much for always trying to guide me to the Force and seeing the light, because it genuinely took me 25 years to finally reach this point in my life. So I'm happy to be here. Second of all, I want to thank all my family and friends for constantly encouraging me to watch Star Wars, even though I wouldn't give it the time of day. This is for you guys. I did it, finally did it, and I'm so happy about it. Third point, I want to put up a quick text message giving you the lore and background of what my history is with Star Wars and why I didn't get into it up until now. Boom, flash on the screen. There you go. Take the time, read it, whatever. If you don't care about it, all right, I'm here to talk about what I think about the movie, what I think about the whole prequels and the original trilogy. I haven't seen any of the Disney involved films. I've heard mixed stuff, but maybe I might watch them in the future. Don't know how I feel about it. Maybe watch them just to have fun, just to see a little bit of more of the Star Wars. I'm making this video solely on the prequels and the original trilogy. I'm doing it in that order because everyone, my friends and my brothers, told me that I should start it with those, the six. The fourth and final point, as always, the reason why I'm here is because my brother told me to check out the game Star Wars Jedi The Fallen Order. It's thanks to the Jedi The Fallen Order that I got into this series, because I'm a gamer first, Star Wars fan second, so it was because of that game and how great it was. I beat it already. Because of that game, I decided, hey, why not? I have the time, let me check out the original films, see if they're for me, see if I vibe with them. If I don't, I'm really liking the game, I'm liking the atmosphere of this. Let me see for myself now that I have the attention span to acknowledge it, see what's going on, find out about all the lore of it, and see if the movies are any good for my taste. In this point in my life, it doesn't matter what anybody tells me anymore. I like to make my own opinions to myself. If people tell me and reviewers tell me if things are good or bad, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. I want to interpret the art for myself, and that's with music, video games, and movies, comic books, series, anything, TV shows, anything, honestly. So I like it to form my opinion for myself, because nobody has the taste that I do. At the end of the day, nobody can tell me if something's good or not. It's up to the people. Art is an interpretation. You either like it, you don't like it, whatever. It's good. It's fine either way, guys. It's fine either way, boys and girls. The world moves on. The world continues to spin, with or without us. So here I am. These are my thoughts. These are my expressions of what I took away after seeing the original trilogy and the prequels. Fire. Amazing. Great. Honestly, I get it now. I honestly get it now. I honestly have seen the light. I see what all the hype is about, why this company sells billions of things, merchandise, why Disney bought them, why this property is so huge and the effect it had on the planet in general, why it's touched and affected so many people's lives and inspired so many other countless arts, music, films, TV shows, adaptations, why this series is what it is and how the global scale that it has and the impact that it still holds to this day, and why it's still reaching people, even kids, grandparents, mid-adults, anybody really. Really, I see now the series is pretty accessible, and it has a lot to do reflecting not only in the main story of itself, but I kind of saw it as a greater story being told within itself about the human spirit and choosing good or bad, and the consequences that it has not only on us but on the world around us, how big of an impact it could all really be. And so I always try to see what the story is trying to show me, what the story is trying to teach me, what I can learn from the story. Because at the end of the day, for me, it doesn't matter if it's a horror movie, comedy, a drama. As long as it's a good story and it's captivating and it's telling what it's trying to tell in a great, clever, unique way on its own, no matter the genre, no matter what space it is, no matter how it's shot or filmed, if it's high budget, low budget, As long as it's telling what it's trying to say, and I get captivated in something and I get invested in it and I believe it, that's all I care about. All I really care about is great storytelling. This is why I loved this series so much. The storytelling was all there. Great characters, memorable scenes that still get referenced to this day. Parodies, films, TV. I see the influence that it has not only just in movies, but in some of the music I listen to as well. The art that I love, comic books, anime, manga. I see the grand influence it has and I highly respect it for it. So coming into this, I was like, okay, I'm very open-minded. I love Jedi Survivor. I'm willing to learn about what this story is trying to tell you, what it's about, who the characters are, who the antagonists and protagonists are, and see if I honestly like it, just to see if I like it. And if I don't like it, cool. If I did like it, cool, whatever. I'll still play the games. I started off with A New Hope. I wanted to start off with the original trilogy that I saw when I was a kid and completely blocked out of my mind. And I was like, did not captivate any of it. So I was like, let me start with the original trilogy and then work my way back with the prequels. That's the way they came out anyways during the release time of the years. So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I love seeing older movies anyways because I love practical effects over CGI all the time. And I really loved how the practical effects of everything that was on the first three versus the prequels with a CGI the hell out of shit. I mean, some of it held up, but some of it was really, really bad. But I mean, the storytelling was what it was, and that's all I really care about. The CGI could be mid, bad, good. Doesn't really matter to me as long as the storytelling is presenting what it's gonna be. I kind of see it like video games. If a video game is from the Nintendo 64 era or late or earlier and it looks bad, but the gameplay still holds up and the story and the characters and the world design is still good, doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter if I'm playing a next gen game or an older gen hardware. As long as the game is good, the game is good. As long as the movie's good, the movie's good. So I started with A New Hope. Banger, amazing. Let's go. The second one, The Empire Strikes Back. Fucking amazing, top tier, incredible. The third one, Return of the Jedi. Amazing way to conclude it. Personally, I got asked which one was my favorite out of the trilogy, but I honestly see all three of them as one whole piece in itself. So I kind of rate it as a whole thing on its own. I can't really give it like this one was better than the other one because it's building up the story for the later parts. I personally see the original trilogy as one big huge story, so I rate it all as like it's one big movie. If it was like a 6-hour movie and it was all this, then I'd be like, oh, that's what it is, that's fine, that's cool. Loved it. I loved every second of it. All the characters were interesting, great, believable, lovable. The actors who played in it obviously gained the biggest notoriety. I knew their faces before I even knew the characters, so that's how massive these movies were at the time. So it's really, honestly, it speaks for itself. And I'm glad that all those actors got to keep going, doing other roles and things like that. I mean, Mark Hamill to me is like the best Joker to me. He just voices him, but he gives the best performances. So I already had been loving Mark Hamill from all the Arkham games and the animated series. I'm a huge Batman fan, so seeing him as Luke, as this protagonist of a good guy, of this young kid, I was like, that's my GOAT. And he's just a child right here, and he's like a completely different role. And I just see him, I see his face and I think of Joker, but now obviously I see him as Luke, and it's a whole different way. And for other people, it's probably the reverse of it. They probably see him as Luke and be like, how can he do Joker too? Man is talented, goated, love you. Mark Hamill, great. Carrie Fisher, obviously. Leia, fucking cool, amazing. Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford. Obviously, the boy, he's the man. To me, fucking Han Solo's goated. So, fuck yeah, I love Han Solo. All the other characters, too, were great. The creatures and all that stuff. I never really knew how R2-D2 and C-3PO were integral in the story. They just kind of seemed to me like off characters before I watched the movies. Now I see the impact that they have in the movie, and they're pretty key elements. So, it wouldn't have happened if they weren't even in this movie. So, huge role in there. Pretty much every character in this series plays a pivotal role. Either it's a big one or a small one, but they all play a pivotal role. the Force, right? The Force, right? The Force is in all of us. Obviously, we got to talk about the big, the bad, the baddie. Darth Vader. Bro, I already knew bro was fucking badass. But I mean, we're not talking about the prequels yet, but we get to learn how and see how much of a fucking OG this fucking guy is. Fucking amazing. I love his presence. Obviously voiced by James Earl Jones. One of the GOATs, R.I.P. But man, his voice is iconic, and obviously I knew about Darth Vader way before. I obviously knew about Darth Vader way before any of this, so I knew he was the bad guy, the baddie. So yeah, love you Vader, you baddie. One thing that I didn't expect about this series to have been so huge and why I loved it, the original trilogy, was, I mean, even in the prequels too, it's really a lot about the Force and how it flows in everything, and it's in all of us. I'm a spiritual person in general, so even having some kin to that, I relate to it, and I believe in a lot of that universal and galaxy spiritual things. So when they're talking about the forces within us, we have the power, the ability to tap into it, good or bad. I mean, to me, I view it as no different from what we're living in today. So it really hit me deeply, and I was like, whoa. And they made it, but as it now is a power that you can tap into, which is, I believe we can tap into those powers. Maybe we can't fucking do Jedi mind tricks and like fucking pull things to us and levitate things. I mean, I'm not saying we can't, because you never say you can't. Because hey man, I'm pretty deep into some conspiracy things too. So I've heard about and read studies and things like that we can do more than our human physical mind is capable of. We use only like what, 10% of our brain, so something like that. So imagine if we have access to the other stuff, which is aka the Force. Anyways, I love the whole concept of the Force, how it's integral into our lives, how some people believe in it, some people don't. It's been years. You have to tap into it. You have to lock in order to access it. And you have two paths that you can cross to, the dark side or the light side. I mean, maybe it's the light side. I don't know. I don't think they say light side, but it's obviously the light, the dark path, and then the light path. That's no difference in the decisions we make as people in general. So it really brings a bigger grasp of what the whole story is about. Those are the kind of stories I like, where they're not only telling you the story they're trying to say, but it's also giving you messages and hints about our world and what we're doing and what we see right. The Empire is about our politics and stuff. I mean, before going into it, I remember my friends always telling me this series is really political. And I didn't understand it at the time. I'm like, what you mean political, bro? Like George Bush is in here? What? Nah, dude, it's like emperors and stuff like that, and ruling the republic, things like that. I don't know the whole lingo of it all. I mean, I just watched it for the first time. But everything has its establishment, its government. They're having trades behind people's backs. They're having deals behind closed doors, which is aka what happens in our world. We just don't talk about it. Okay, it's whatever. I'm saying. So I'm seeing a lot of parallels that are within our world too. So I always love stories that are like that because it hits closer to home. Some people grasp it, and some people, they don't hear it because it's not meant for them to hear, and it's meant for a few to hear. But anybody can pick up on these messages. You just have to dial in and interpret it and what you feel about it. Anyways, that's the way I interpret it, and I really loved it. The reflection of humanity as a whole. And it's no surprise why it's called Star Wars, because it's not only just our Earth, it's entire planets looking for power or trying to restore balance. Either way, it's all about controlling. The Empire is all about controlling it, and Jedi is about restoring balance and peace and helping others, while the Empire is overgreeted by power and hate and deception and jealousy and things that honestly are what humans do, or what humans are capable of, either good or bad or in between. You know, there's no really dark side or black side. Some of it is neutral, some of it is in that gray area, but we all have choices we make in our life and how it affects other people. And I know the gravity of that, and it's really just like the movie shows you, it's really in all of us. It's really in all of us, and the better we understand each other and ourselves, the better we can help others and do good. Or you can take all those gifts for granted and use it for yourself and selfish reasons. And it shows that that path leads to the worst of the worst part. But you do gain the power, but at a hefty price. Anyways, great stuff. Original trilogy, loved it. After I finished the trilogy, loved it. Oh my god, I was crying tears of joy. I was like, all right, let's load up the prequels. Started the prequels. I knew it was about to be about Anakin and how his story came to be. Even if I knew he was going to be Darth Vader by the end, one of my cousins said, he always says this, and like I practice it daily and I say it too now, is that it's not about knowing what happened, it's about knowing how it happened. Because there's a reason why people do anything, good or bad. There's always a backstory to it, there's always an origin point. Everyone starts out like this, and then eventually we grow out to spread out, and the world shapes us and changes us by our experiences, by our relationships, by the things that we attract to, the things we personally chase after or want. And it changes all of us, good or bad. It's really up to the person who is in their journey. In the case of Anakin, he was always conflicting, always battling good or evil. And obviously we see how it turns out. And to me, it was like, I knew he was going to turn. But the way you see this kid just, you know, has the biggest of promises and the eventually leading to what it is, it's a whole different thing, you know. And then now that I see how it all happened, we understand and see how the original trilogy shows the aftermath of all that has happened and transpired. To me, it's always the greatest challenges for an artist or a director or a storyteller to write prequels to something that has already been successful and established. Because not only do you have to walk back a lot of what has happened, but you have to make it fit and make sense in a way that doesn't feel cheap or phony or retcons everything or has a bunch of plot holes. You have to really think about it and capture it in the best way possible. Hence why the prequels came out later on. I know George Lucas had to really lock in and make sure that it makes sense, and we see a bunch of surprises and things along the way that led up to what the original trilogy was. My biggest example that I can give to that's huge for me is the Breaking Bad series. I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. So when Better Call Saul came out, I was like, what are we doing here? Why is it gonna tell Saul's story? What do we need this for? I eventually gave the show a chance thanks to my brother. And man, seeing everything from starting to it to how it goes, how he becomes Saul, I'm like, whoa. You know, it blew my mind and blew my expectations. Vince Gilligan absolutely crushed it on telling the story before the Breaking Bad events. And, you know, I respect that a lot from a storyteller's perspective, that you're able to tell the origin of the story you've already told. So, you know, you got to give these characters, it makes the characters more fleshed out. It makes the characters more believable, more real. It makes the world that you're building seem like we can live in it. Because the best stories are the ones that we believe. That's why I'm such a big One Piece fan, man. Those flashbacks kill it every single time, man. I swear, bro. We understand and we get attached to these characters. And so that's great storytelling. I really, really love and respect that. So going into these prequels, I was like, oh man, let's see how he can handle it, if like it goes off well or if it doesn't. Let me tell you guys, it cooked so fucking hard. Same thing with these. I consider it all one movie, but honestly with the prequels I can kind of differentiate it better. I don't know why it works in my brain that I could just separate it more when the prequels and how it led up to it. All of them are great. I enjoyed every single one of them. But I mean, that third act, part 3 with Revenge of the Sith, that was chef's kiss. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite one out of all of them. I loved every single one of them, but Revenge of the Sith was like everything. That was the culmination of everything just put into place. The story, the music, the score, the acting, the CGI was looking really well. The lightsaber fights, them fighting in space. I mean, it was like the culmination of everything. And the way they brought it up and set it off and sent it out so A New Hope can start. You know you do a prequel right when at the final end of your note, it makes you want to watch the original stuff again. Because you're going to see it with different lenses. You're going to see it with a different eye on all these characters and what they're doing and how this all set up. I kind of view it like real life. So that's how it is. Everything is happening in its place and its order and timing, and we're just acting in our role. We're just doing what we're meant to do here. We're no bigger than anything else here. Any animal, small creature, bug, insect, we're all playing our role. Even if we're aware of it or not, we're all playing our role. That's what's really that captivated me from this series. One of the final notes that I gotta say about this thing is I know why it's called Star Wars now. When I go out there, when I go outside and I go to stores now, when I see like Lego sets or toys or action figures of it now, or posters, or even things like other video games of it, I understand so much more now. I see it and I get it now. I had to discover it the way by a video game. It had to be Jedi Survivor that got me going on here and put me to the path. And another personal thing too, I honestly feel like this series came into my life at the right moment in time, with so much change happening in my life and choosing a lot of decisions, whether they're good or whether they're bad, whether it's selfish or it's for other people. And I always sided with, I always try to make the best decisions for not only myself, but the way it affects other people and in my life and where I am. Just like Luke, honestly. So I really identify with that character, because even besides seeing so much hatred, so much envy, and people telling you this and that and trying to sway you from left or right, I always come to my peace of mind and say, Jose, what do you feel is right? What do you think is the right thing to do? You know what the right thing to do is. You gotta act on it. Even if it's the harder decision, even if it's scary or fearful or unknowing, even if you're scared, you always do what's right. Do what's right, and it will lead you to the greatest path that you will ever know. I really felt that, so it really hit me deeply in this part of my life right now. And so I'm just so grateful that I got to experience it like this, and here at home with my family. It's so awesome, and it gave me a lot of insight and a lot of inspiration for not only my music but my stories, my podcasting, my all of my interests. Gave me a lot of aspect of it, and honestly, it's a cool series that like is always going to be living in my head or in my heart, and I could just always go back to whenever I need it. I'm honestly ready to play the sequel for Jedi Fallen Order, just because I know they made a second one, and so I'm fucking hyped on it, man. It's fucking sick. I love the game mechanics from the first game. I loved how they made everything, and honestly, playing the game after the movies, oh, it hits so different. It hits so fucking different, and so now I'm like, oh man, there's so many other games I want to play of Star Wars, just to see more of it. And it's honestly a really cool universe and space, and how it tells you all this stuff, and so much lore to it, and I love that in stories in general. So I'm 25, I just saw Star Wars for the first time, and my mind is blown. I feel like a kid discovering it again, and so it's really cool, and I just want to make a quick video about it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is my official YouTube channel, so leave a like, comment, subscribe, anything. It really helps me on the channel. I like uploading whenever I feel like a topic strongly enough to make a video about. I do want to be more consistent about it, but I'm currently just going back to the whiteboard and seeing, okay, what kind of videos do I want to make? Stuff like this that really motivates me or inspires me in some sort of way. I have tons of more ideas of videos that I want to put out. I don't really have like a niche topic center point. I just kind of do what feels right, and so this feels right now. If you like Star Wars and you've seen it for years, leave me a comment telling me how it affected your life, what's going through your head, how do you feel about the movies, which one's your favorite movie. Comment, say hi. I'm not shy. I want to say thank you again for watching and taking the time to hear me yap. I'll catch you guys next time, and take care of yourself. Mucho amor. May the force be with you.